Well, hello there. Welcome to a special day here at Descent at Best. I'm back at Rocky Knob. You might be noticing there's a brand new sweet pump track here, and I'm excited to ride it for the first time. But this video is actually about new bike day. Kind of. So, those of you who follow the channel know that I was in the market for a bike. I started demoing some things. Look at that. So sweet. Santa Cruz Nomad was one I was really interested in. But actually, check out my new bike. It's my 2020 Orbea Rallon Volume 2. So, what I want to do in this video is tell you what I changed. This is just a bunch of upgrades. I want to tell you what those components were replacing, why I made the change, and ultimately why I did not get a new bike. So here are the changes that I made. First thing, I got a new fork. This is the Öhlins RXF 38 Mark II with low speed and high speed compression, something I didn't have before, as well as rebound. Then I've got the Öhlins TTX Air shock in the back, and big shout out to Roadie Bicycle Outfitters in Blowing Rock, because I got a custom tune on this that does exactly what I want. I can finally get 25% sag. That's never happened before. Rock and roll. Now on the drivetrain side, dig this. I went full rainbow. X01 with the rainbow cassette and the rainbow chain from SRAM. So I finally got myself an Eagle Gear rock and roll. And then I got the code RSC brakes. Oh, yeah, that's the rainbow edition too, because I'm nice like that. And lastly, I got a Fox transfer post for my dropper. I guess technically that's not the last thing, because I got some Deity knuckle duster grips. So overall, I'm embracing the kind of Jamaican style of this bike with the turquoise, black, and banana yellow. So, what do those things replace? Well, initially I had the Shimano MT501, kind of like the lowest model brake that's 4-piston from Shimano, and it had this real on-off feel and the wandering point that you hear about. So it was inconsistent and like really powerful. Going to the RSC is great because I finally get modulation in the brakes, and I can adjust the contact point way out so I can modulate for a longer distance. That's super important for me because I get scared, and if I'm hitting the brakes, I'm grabbing on them. So this will hopefully keep me from going over the bars a lot. I mean, technique could do that too, but who has that? The RXF 38 fork, well, that replaces my Fox Performance Level 36. And so I gain the high-speed compression adjustment. I gain 38 mil stanchions. And overall, it's just a different feel. The 36 fork was great that it had a complete lockout. And so if I was on a fire road, that was cool. So I don't know, I might miss that part of it, but having more of a supple off the top feel and just more of a gushy, kind of specialized brand feel throughout is gonna be nice because I really like rocks. The TTX Air shock replaces my Fox DPX2, and that's the big thing. That shock was really poppy. I got off the air, or like up in the air really easily, but it was harsh. I had to set that thing at like 48% sag just because of my weight. And the bike is pretty linear / progressive. What that means is that the ramp up in the stiffness of the leverage curve would happen almost immediately if I hit anything. It was always stiffer than the bike was intended to be. And so I would go from 50% sag around of stiff to even stiffer slowly throughout the travel, and it would usually go through the travel pretty quickly, so it was just stiff. It felt like I was riding a hardtail in the bike park. So now with the TTX, I can finally achieve sag, which means I'm getting the leverage curve that I intended to have, or like the bike is supposed to have. So I get more supple off the top feel. Mid-stroke is the main thing. So I have more mid-stroke to use, more effective travel, and it doesn't really ramp up until the end. So that's great. Now the X01 drivetrain replaces my Shimano SLX, and that's not a huge deal. It's a lot of it's for looks with the rainbow thing, but I really like SRAM's shifting. It seems like really snappy and crisp, and also the downshifts to like lower gears when you're about to hit a really steep face. I find that I can shift, and you tell me what the truth of this is, but it seems like I can throw that lever and shift like 3 gears at a time, 4 gears more. Like I can just cycle through that thing real fast. And out here in North Carolina, where you got a lot of undulating terrain, a lot of abrupt changes in incline and decline, that's really helpful for me. Lastly, the Fox transfer post. It's faster than my P&W post that I've been using, which was a P&W loam. And that's not a huge change. I mean, I did break the loam post like 3 times and had to replace it. So I'm hoping durability will be a bit better. But really, I was actually gonna go for a reverb post. I know that people don't like those, but there's this product called the Fair Industries Drop Best that allows you to add up to 2 degrees of effective seat tube angle. And in general, geometry, which is what I'm gonna talk about next, is one of the main things that I was trying to adjust. So, why did I really want a bike in the first place? Well, the main thing had to do with the outdated geometry of the bike in its form, you know, at the end of 2022. So, by over forking this at 180 on that RXF 38, that makes changes to the bottom bracket height, to the angles, both of them, seat tube and head tube. So it's not exactly what I wanted, but I think once the drop best angle post comes out for a Fox transfer, I add that baby on and I'll have a 64 degree head tube angle, and I'll get more like 77, 78 on the seat tube with a 343 bottom bracket, and that is perfect. That's what the most modern bikes have. I'll have it on this along with the added benefits of having top of the line suspension, brakes, drivetrain, wheels, everything. All right, so as I do a descent here, I wanted to first thank you guys for liking and subscribing. I feel like we've doubled our subscriber count in like 6 months. It's pretty sweet, so appreciate that. Also, I wanted to note that I'm using this Joby Telepod. It's kind of like a selfie stick, but it's also got a tripod mount. So you're gonna see some cool, or hopefully cool, angles that haven't been possible for me before this coming year. Yeah, this just erases everything. So ultimately, I decided to go with this and just put some top end parts on it, over fork it, to get the geometry closer to where I want to be. And one thing that I should mention is that, you know, I work for Curated, so it's also really helpful for me to know how it feels to have Olin suspension, to have X01 versus SLX versus GX versus everything. So there's a lot of kind of a research component. But one thing I've noticed is that the gushiness of the VPP, as well as the anti-squat you get from it, I am a lot closer to that now that I've got the Olin suspension. So that rocks. So as I finish things out and go back to the car, that's the end of my new bike day reveal. I'm interested in your thoughts, both about what bikes you're riding and what you're thinking about, the angles that you think are optimal, the suspension components and brakes and things that you prefer. If you want to ask me more questions about why I did what I did, happy to field those. And I'll see you next time here on Descendant Best. Cheers.